Hey gang, welcome to this one of the things we want to start doing is reviewing the places that we visit. So Pio Pico is a RV resort out in, I'll show you on a map. So here's San Diego, and here's where Pio Pico is. It's about 25 minutes or so to downtown San Diego. One of the things a lot of people don't realize about San Diego is that it's actually a desert. Once you leave the kind of cool, almost tropical areas around San Diego and the downtown areas, you very quickly realize it is just a desert. So we're out here in the desert, which is a place I'm not a big fan of, but actually grown to appreciate a little bit. One of the cool things about Pio Pico is that even though we are in the middle of the desert, there's actually a fair amount of trees. And living in Southern California now as we have out in the desert, trees are a hot commodity and something my family and I love, being from Northern California. And so having a fair amount of trees in the Pio Pico area is very cool. We overall have really enjoyed our time here at Pio Pico. We're gonna be staying here total for about 2 months, so plenty of time to get to know the place a little bit. One of the things that I first realized about Pio Pico is that it has a very cool vibe to it. It sort of feels like what I think the 1950s must have felt like. They probably didn't, but in my idealized version of what I think the 1950s must have felt like, I think it would have been something like this. The people in general here are very, very friendly, and there's a community feel to it. People wave. It's just kind of a thing. You wave to each other, and you get to know your neighbors, which is kind of a trend I'm learning of this lifestyle of living out of a trailer. Just people, you have an instant connection to people, and they're a lot more friendly and open. We've gotten to know a lot of people around here. We didn't even know our neighbors back in suburbia. We just weren't very good neighborly people, I suppose.
With all these lines.
So Pio Pico has some great amenities, I guess you could call them. It has a separate kids pool and then an adult pool. They're actually like pool sections. The kids pool has actually 2 separate pools. Both are pretty good size. One is doesn't get any deeper than 3 feet, and the other one gets to about 6 feet. There's also a hot tub. And by kids, it's not just kids. Adults can go in there too. It's like the family pool. And then there's a separate pool area for adults only. It gets a little wild there. It doesn't. I think you have to be 75 or older to go to that pool. There's also a fair amount of hiking out here if you like desert hiking. They have 2 community centers, one that's sort of the main community center. They have a library in there. They actually have a restaurant that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they have just kind of a lounge area. And there's also a kids center that has a lot of things like pool tables and video games and air hockey and that sort of thing for kids. And it's all free. There's also a park area that has grass, which is cool. We're in the desert, a little baseball diamond area, and you can rent all of the equipment that you need for the sports things right here, and it's all free. Can you hear me? It's windy. It's windy out here in Pio Pico. A couple of things to be aware of if you're going to stay at Pio Pico is that there are a lot of tarantula hawks. You probably don't know what a tarantula hawk is. I didn't before moving down here. This is what they are.
You see this wasp here? It's called a tarantula hawk. If one happens to sting you, you're going to start to freak out.
The tarantula hawk has what most people say is the number 2 most painful sting of any insect on the planet. Luckily, they're not aggressive at all, but you do see them flying around quite a bit. Another cool thing is that there's tarantulas out here. They're harmless, I think, and they're pretty cool. You don't see them very often. I've actually only seen 2 since I've been out here, but they're pretty cool. There's also a lot of wildlife out here. You hear coyotes at night. Sometimes you hear owls. There's a lot of raptors, birds and things. A lot of squirrels and rabbits. I actually see a lot of wildlife out here, which is pretty cool. The other thing that we like about Pio Pico, which could be a positive or negative depending on what you're looking for, is that it's out here. Like you actually feel like, I wouldn't say you feel like you're camping because, you know, it's not really camping, but you're away from town. There's also a little store here, so if you need things like ice or soda pop, I don't know what other things you need. A couple other things of note, the Wi-Fi out here is actually great. It works really, really well most of the time. We're in the middle of nowhere, so any kind of Wi-Fi is great, but for the most part, it works really, really well. Definitely well enough to stream movies, Netflix, and iTunes and that sort of thing. If you want to find out more about Pio Pico, here is their website. I don't get anything for this, by the way. I'm just letting you know. Here's their website if you want to check it out.